Hello, everyone. Once again, we back with Mississippi Vibes. I'm back again. It's Bert. Tonight, I have a special guest on, Dr. Tiffany L. Williams. She's a mental illness therapist, and tonight we're going to talk about mental illness in the Black community. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm gonna bring Dr. in so we can go ahead and get started. Once she comes on, she'll be here in a second. Just loading her up. Dr. Williams, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Once again, I want to thank you for this opportunity to interview you so we can have this conversation about mental illness in the Black community. If you'd like to introduce yourself to everyone so we can get started.
Yes. Hello. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Tiffany Williams. I am a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Florida, and I provide mental health services through my private practice, Masterpiece Counseling Services, helping you be the master of your peace.
Thank you. So we'll get right into a few questions that I have for you. Why do you feel the African American community is more willing to seek help?
That is a really great question, and a question that is asked a lot of the times, especially asked of us clinicians in the mental health field. And those, of course, of us who are in the African American community and working with the African American community. And of course, that is likely due to the stigma that is assigned to mental health and to reaching out for help. So, for instance, one of the long-standing stigmas is that if you reach out for help, if you go to counseling, then that means you are crazy, or that something is wrong with you. So, going to get help is synonymous with that there's something wrong with me, or I'm broken, or I have something that is incurable. So of course that prevents us from seeking treatment like we should.
Yes, ma'am. Why does our culture feel counseling isn't a route to take?
Well, again, it's linked to the stigma, and also I think too the long-standing history in this country of being used as guinea pigs by health professionals, and just the mistrust of the health professional, like health professions, doctors, and
Right.
things of that nature. There is a huge mistrust. So it's on the one hand, I don't want to be labeled. I don't want to carry on the stigma. I don't want people to think that something is wrong with me and that I'm crazy. But on the other hand, there is a true deep-seated mistrust, understandably so, especially with some of the older generations. That is something that was true and real for them. Being uh, experimented on without their permission and things of that nature. So there is a huge distrust for the health community in general.
Wow. I didn't know that it was being experimented on back in our ancestors.
Yeah. I mean, if you think of the Tuskegee experiment, if you think of Henrietta Lacks, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but these particular individuals, yes, they were experimented on without their consent. So, there is a deep-seated mistrust for the health community, period, because of that, going on in history.
Okay. So tell me, how can counseling help kill the family cycle of mental illness?
Hmm. Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say kill. I think that word it's a little well, actually, it's very loaded.
Okay.
I would say, how can counseling help repair the family structure? How can counseling build insight into family systems, and how we react to each other, and some of the things that are long standing within our family systems. Some people talk about, things that are passed down from generation to generation. And, a
Yes.
lot of people talk about generational curses. How is it that we can become insightful and knowledgeable about why these behaviors are happening? Why is there a pattern within our family, so that we can be more insightful and do better and do things differently, so that that doesn't carry on. So with that being stated, I think that therapy is one of those things that, again, if you are with a trained professional, someone who is very much trained in dealing with families and family systems, they can help you be more insightful about your behaviors. And it's not just the individual, it's the family system in itself. More insightful about the behaviors, about, the long-standing things within the family, so that, again, family members can, be more in control, so to speak, of how they maneuver through the family, and also make that choice to, I'm going to change. Here's the thing: you can't change what you don't know. And so therapists can help with that process, help facilitate that process towards healing, towards, um, just a better family system.
Okay, that's great. So, what are the clear signs of a person having mental health illness?
Well, the signs and symptoms, they vary. So I don't want individuals watching to think that if they um, experience one of the symptoms that I'm going to name, that they have a mental health concern. But usually what I tell individuals, especially lay persons that are really familiar, but they definitely want to help, they want to be a mental health advocate, is if you notice that your friend, your family member, your loved one, whoever, has a shift in behavior. So they're not themselves. You notice that, some of the things that they used to do, they don't do anymore. They seem a little more reclusive to themselves, or even if you notice that there's a shift in their mood, they're crying more, or they're a little more irritable, they have, less patience, then that may be an indicator that they are experiencing a mental health issue. And sometimes it's not even a mental health issue, it's just, being a human being and dealing with life, right?
Right.
I try to tell people too that not everything that you experience, thought wise, whether it's disturbance in your thoughts or a disturbance in your mood, means that you have a mental health illness. It may just mean that you have a lot going on. Your situation that you're dealing with is extremely overwhelming, and the coping strategies that you normally would implement are not working anymore. And that's not to say that, again, that you're crazy or something is wrong. It's just that, oh my gosh, like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm not sure what to do. And your body normally is going to naturally react the way it needs to react in order to protect you. Whether that means getting irritable, crying, whether that means, shutting down, that's just what it's going to do.
So, in a particular case, I say myself.
Okay.
Just say, for instance, if you was in a room with me and someone else,
Hmm.
and a disagreement would start,
Hmm.
and I would get loud, cuss, lash out,
Hmm.
say what I had to say. Then 5 minutes later, I act if, you know, that just didn't happen.
Hmm.
As a professional, would that be a sign of what you just said? He's having a bad day. He don't know how to cope with certain things, or would your switch go straight to, oh, he has a mental illness?
No, definitely as a mental health professional, I can't just, look at somebody and say, oh, he has a mental health illness.
Right.
No, that's not how it works. you know, um, as a professional, I would have to sit with that person, look at the broader picture, assess everything that is going on, and then come to that conclusion. But what I will say is, from, just the observation, wow, that was a bit much, or that was kind of, over the top, or,
Right.
there would be a no, I'm going to notice that was different, or out of the ordinary, or rude, or just out of place. But then too, it depends on the person. Um, if you're normally not like that, if you're a typical docile person, you take things in stride, and it's like if an argument ensues, you're just like, okay, whatever. And this is how you present yourself, then that may be like, ding, 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 okay, what's going on? Because normally he's pretty cool, he's pretty laid back. So that, yes, that would raise eyebrows for me.
Okay. So have you seen an increase of people wanting therapy, especially of color since the quarantine, this COVID-19, everything's going on?
Yes, I have. And yes, I have. Yes, I want to say for the past month, I have probably had at least, I know for a fact, at least one inquiry a week, or a day,
Okay.
3 weeks since the quarantine has started. And I think it's because, again, we are in our homes, we are stationary, and we have our families close to us. Some of us who have children, we're with our, family members constantly. Not only that, we're having to operate in dual roles or multiple roles that we're probably not used to being in. For instance, a lot of parents are now being parent and teacher. And I don't know about most parents, but from what I've been hearing, a lot of them are like, this teacher mess is it's for the birds.
Right.
So you're having to take on certain roles, put on certain hats that you're just not used to. And of course, with anything where you're learning something or doing something different, there's this shift that has to happen. And a lot of times, under normal circumstances, we have time to shift. We didn't have time to shift. It was like, okay, schools are closing. Here, get your laptop. Here's the internet stuff that you need to learn real quick. And then, boom, you need to be there, present with your kid, and go over homework and learn how to teach them. It's a lot. So we're we're inside, we're with our family, we're operating in different roles that we're not used to. But the other thing is too, we're slowing down. And a lot of the things that we would be doing that would distract us from what it is, our problems, our issues, we don't have that anymore. We don't have those distractions. I can't go out and party to forget about my problems. I can't go and travel and run away from my issues. They are here, right here in my face. And so what is happening is they're resurfacing, and a lot of individuals are not able to cope, not able to deal with it. And so there's a lot of things that are going on that are increasing people's, and of course with COVID-19 period, people are just afraid, they're fearful, and on top of that, you have individuals who have loved ones that are sick or in the hospitals right now, who have loved ones that have passed away. And not only that, we're not able to participate in the grief rituals that come along with someone who passed. So we're grieving, we're not able to participate in these rituals. We have family members that are sick. COVID-19 has us scared. Um, there's just a lot of things that are going on. And so, yes, people are reaching out for help because they just don't know what this is, like a collective trauma, honestly, what we're going through. And people are not used to this. They don't know what to do. And so, yes, they are reaching out for help. I think another thing that adds to people reaching out for help is the fact that a lot of employers are pushing forward, like their EAP benefits, employee assistance program benefits. They're pushing, hey, here's this service. Go talk to someone if you need to. So um, a lot of times people don't really know that they have these benefits, and so now that employers are saying, hey, utilize this benefit, people are more aware of it, so they're taking advantage of it.
Okay. So when you get a call like this, or when you see people in this situation, what's your top three tools to handle dealing with stress? How when you go to a client or a client reach out to you, what's your top three?
They're all, what the coping strategies that I use with my clients, they vary client to client, because we have to, of course, tailor it based on the client's presentation, based on the client's strength, based on the client's support system. But I'm a firm believer in, of course, movement. I'm a firm believer in maintaining physical health. And when you're physically healthy, of course, you're mentally healthy. So, of course, my go-to would be get moving, get some exercise in. And I tell people all the time, you don't have to have a gym to work out to get moving. You can go outside, you could jump rope, jumping jacks, push-ups. There are a lot of exercises that can be done in order to get you moving and maintain, a healthy body. Getting outside is just another thing that everyone can do. You know, vitamin D, that vitamin D helps with your mood. So getting outside and just being a part of nature, and also too, it just kind of breaks up the monotony of everything. Again, everyone is stuck inside the house, so getting out, getting some fresh air, getting some sun, is a good thing. Well, I will say this: I'm in Florida, so sun for us is pretty easy. So
Right.
if you're in a state, if you're listening and you're in a state that sun isn't, at your disposal as much, then I'm sorry. But yes, here in Florida, the sunshine state, the sun is good to us. Um, and then too, writing. I firmly believe in writing. When we don't have that outlet, especially if you don't have a therapist, or if you don't really have a significant other or a support system where you can bounce things off of, I believe in writing. So journaling, and it doesn't have to be anything long and extensive. I think a lot of people, when they think about journaling, they think of like Aaliyah's 4-page letter. And it's like, no, you don't have to, write a 4-page letter, even if it's just at the top of the morning and you have this certain thought, and it may invoke like a negative emotion, or even if it's something that's just, something that I want to ponder on, write it down. It's almost like, I think when you write it down, it gets it out of your head and onto the paper, and it's less traffic in your head. So yes, writing is the last thing that I would say do. So yeah, exercise, get outside, get some sun, and get to writing.
Okay. Do you feel, as an African American, do you feel someone of another race is a good combination when a person is seeking therapy?
Mhm.
Should they seek therapy within their race with a professional, because understanding somewhat of the background, the history of the African American culture? What's your suggestion on that?
Again, I think it's all individual. People have their own, personal preferences as to what they want out of the experience. For those who, because we do have a lot of African Americans are just now like coming into embracing going to therapy, and so there's this uncertainty of how to navigate that. What does that look like? What do I look for in a therapist? How do I find a therapist? And so I always encourage individuals, interview, interview people, call people up and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And I want to know, what is your credentials, your background? How can you help me get to a place where I am not dealing with my personal illness? And interview those individuals and match yourself based on who you believe can be able to provide you with the services that meets your individual specific need. The other thing is when you get connected with a therapist, it's almost like a trial period in a sense. If I come and I see you, and the first 2 sessions we're just not clicking, I'm like, ooh, I just don't feel comfortable with you, or there's something, because it happens.
Okay.
And be able to say, you know what, I think that this relationship is not good, and I would much rather, seek someone else for therapy services, because I'm just not comfortable enough to disclose to you what is going on with me, or whatever it may be. So also feeling comfortable with switching therapists if need be. I always encourage people, though, make sure you give it some time. You want to at least give 1 to 2, at max, probably 3 sessions, because some of that may be just the uncertainty and the uncomfortability of being in therapy for the first time. And sometimes, that rapport building, it just takes a little more time than usual. But with all of that being said, I think that there is a benefit to going to a therapist who is African American or a therapist of color, um, because not all Black folk are African American. We have Haitian Americans, we have Jamaican Americans, we have all types of
Right.
Black folk. Um, but I also believe that you can seek counseling from an individual who is not of your race. But here's the thing, what we have to really be conscientious of is that therapist culturally competent? So is that therapist able to, somewhat meet you where you, I say somewhat meet you where you are and understand and check their own biases at the door. And
Okay.
that is a skill that, of course, has to be cultivated. You have to be trained on, and it's something that really does come up a lot, especially when um, African Americans are trying to seek therapists. One, they don't know where we are. That's the first thing. It's like, I want a Black therapist, but I don't know where they are. And then two, if they do seek therapy from someone who is not, Black, then it's like they do feel like, man, I just can't connect. They don't understand me, on things of that nature. But there are also some very culturally competent therapists who are not Black out there that can assist. So again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's on a case by case basis. It's based on what that person prefers. And at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that whomever you choose, whether they are Black or not, that they are culturally competent, they are competent, period, in their field of expertise, and that you feel comfortable with that individual.
What is mental illness?
Oh, just flat out, huh? What?
Yeah.
That should have been the first question.
Nah, I just, I want to, we break a little ice, we talk about something, we'll go get it. What is mental illness? Let's
Mental
go
illness.
and get into it.
Basically, mental illness is a change in your thoughts and behaviors that impacts your overall daily life, daily functioning. Something that, and it's your thought, your behavior, emotional disturbances that impede your life and your overall functioning. That's basically what a mental illness is.
Just this simple.
I mean, yeah, it's just that simple. I mean, you can get a little more technical, but
Right.
overall, yeah, mental illness is a thought disturbance, a behavioral disturbance, or a mood disturbance that negatively impacts or impedes your overall functioning. So I am so sad that I can't get out of bed and go to work. My thoughts are so jumbled that I can't concentrate on my schoolwork. My behaviors are so erratic that I can't keep a job. That kind of thing.
Is it generational?
It can be generational. There are some research that shows that certain mental health disorders can be genetic, so to speak. So yes, it definitely can be generational.
So how as a therapist, as a doctor, how do you um man, I just lost my word. How do you catch that? For instance, I have a few family members that have been put in mental institutions. Do
Hmm.
you go and how do you research through the family with that, or how would y'all go and see how far it went back, or what as a therapist, once you done collected that information, okay, he had a uncle or cousin that's been in mental hospital, how do you take it from there when you're dealing with a client?
Well, it's important to highlight to the client that it could potentially be genetic, and or it could be just environmental. we talk about in my profession, the social work profession, we talk about nature versus nurture. So is this something that is just a part of me biologically, or is this something that is a part of me based on my environment and how I grew up? You know, there's a lot of information out there about, you know, twin studies. You know, you have a twins who grow up in totally different households, have totally different life experiences, yet they have some of the same, you know, characteristics or mental health disturbances, things of that nature. So it's important to highlight those things to the client to almost, how can I put it, normalize their experience, so to speak. Because I think, again, with mental illness, because there's such a stigma, we tend to equate that to something's wrong with me or something's bad about me. Uh, When when we go through like a family history, and I can highlight to a client that, well, it looks like, you know, your mom dealt with depression, your grandma dealt with depression, your great grandma dealt with depression. It looks like this is something that is biological. So, meaning this is something that you can't help per se. This is like, you know what I mean? It's just a part of who you are. So that kind of lifts the burden, so to speak, of, you know, stigma. Like, oh, well, it's not that I'm bad, or it's not that I'm faulty, so to speak. It's just
Right.
something that, you know, it's a part of who I am. So I highlight that to help them usher in a different look on their diagnosis or how they're behaving, as in, you know, this is something that you can't help in essence. Um, but from there, you know, I try not to focus so much on the past and family history part of it, because I like to move forward with my client. Okay, well, now that we know this, and I, you know, we're armed with information. Information helps us with change. Now that we have this information, how can we now move you from a state of being completely depressed to actually experiencing life and in a way that you want to experience it, whether
Okay.
that be happiness, whether it be full of joy, whatever. How can we move from this state to a state of peace, contentment, and experiencing life to its fullest?
How do you communicate with a mate, a spouse, a loved one, a friend that, hey, I think you need to go get some help? How, you know, because sometimes the way we deliver our verbiage to the person, it changed the landscape of accepting their words or getting cussed out.
Yes, yes, I definitely understand what you're saying. Um, when I used to work with kids, I did children's mental health for about 7 years, and of course, I had to work closely with the parents. And to facilitate any growth or treatment progress with kids, you know, you have to get the parent on board, period. And the parents a lot of times felt as if in some aspects they were punishing their kid, or they were uh, just, yeah, they were like punishing their kid, or they were seen as the bad guy, and they didn't like that feeling. And it was like, okay, well, but I need you to work with me in following through with these treatment plan goals so that we can get this child's behavior to change. And one of the ways I won the parent over is by saying, listen, everything that you do, you love your kid, you love this kid, you would do anything for this kid. Everything that you do for this kid, especially in the mental health realm, is because you want them to remain safe,
Okay.
period. Their safety is paramount, period. And so that is I think that is the way we should enter into conversations with our loved ones about, you know, their mental health. Is like, hey, listen, I've noticed that I've there has been a change in your mood lately. I've noticed that you've been quite irritable. I've noticed that you've been crying a lot. I've noticed X, Y, and Z. And, I'm concerned for your safety. I'm concerned for your mental well-being. I'm concerned for your livelihood. I'm concerned for whatever. And I think that maybe you should go see somebody. And I'm not trying to judge you, and I'm not trying to, say that you're crazy. All I'm saying is that, your safety is paramount. And I want you to be safe, whether that be mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I want you to be safe. And you can't argue with safety. You can't argue with nobody about that. It's like, oh, you want me to be safe? It's like, how can you cut somebody out when they just want you to be safe?
Right.
But yes, if we come at the conversation with, first and foremost, how we feel, you know, what we say, the I statement. So I feel concerned. I feel helpless when I see you crying. I feel helpless when I see you struggle. And so when we, come with that, the I statements, this is how I feel, and this is what I want for you. I want you to change. I want you to be happy. I want you, and then again, hammering in that safety message, and I want you to be safe. Then I think that kind of breaks down the wall of people being, reactive and defensive about it, and that does win them over, in my opinion.
How critical is support from, your spouse, your family, I'm talking about on an adult level. How critical is that support from them to get a person to finally seek help?
It is extremely critical, and especially if you're talking about an individual who is um, in danger of hurting themselves, in danger of hurting someone else. A lot of times we may downplay a lot of people's cries for help. And so yes, it is critical that every family member, if you're aware, that you get that person the help that they need. Again, especially if they are in danger of hurting themselves or in danger of hurting someone else. If they make a threat to hurt themselves, if they say they want to die, if they say they want to hurt somebody else, definitely move quickly in supporting that person into getting into mental health treatment, preferably in those instances, a mental health facility where that person can be treated immediately and stabilized. But when we're talking about an individual that is just dealing with some depression or anxiety, and you're noticing that they're just not functioning like they used to, support is like one of the crux of someone's healing during their process. We all can't live in bubbles by ourselves. We all need somebody. And so having that support from a family member, from a friend, whomever, does help in individuals reaching their goals and maintaining their goals. The key is, though, having healthy supports. So if you have a spouse that don't believe in mental health, that don't believe in going to therapy, then that's not a supportive individual. We have to have supportive individuals, people who see the need and are willing and able to, help facilitate getting help and maintaining help.
Okay. So support from your spouse looks like what is I know it's not throwing out that, hey, you crazy, or it's not derogatory language. So if I'm a spouse that you feel that I'm battling with something, or I have this up and down mindset, emotions,
Mhm.
how would you come to me?
Like, how? What you mean?
How would you, I mean, when you, let me see how I'm gonna put this. What I think is my normal, something that I've been doing for years. But as you as a spouse, my mate, you seeing me like, what you doing that ain't what normal people do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a behavior that's been going on for 20, 30, 40 years. How how we directing this, how we doing this? Because most of the time, I know I've been in a situation personally. It was always felt as attack, a jab, hey, you bipolar, you this, you that. And my response has always been that I just don't like your actions or what you doing and how you coming at me. I have to defend myself because I'm like you say, a laid back person. But if I'm talking to, Dr. Tiff, I'm like, hey, I'm cool. I understand what you're saying. But if you keep pressing me and pressing me, now I done went from 0 to 100. And
Mhm.
now you looking at me like, some shit is wrong with you, man.
Mhm.
But I'm looking at it like, nah, I asked you several times just to chill and leave me alone. I'm cool. So then it get to the name calling, the all the expletives and all that stuff. So how do we handle this stuff?
Well, I mean, again, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, in that your approach means everything. So if the spouse can articulate in a healthy way, I am concerned, I am, you know, frustrated with, how you're handling yourself, or, it's just it's concerning to me. And I want you to get help, because I'm just concerned about your overall safety. And I want you to be safe. I want you to be whole. I want you to be healed. I think that again, it does not incite, defensiveness. I mean, for the most part, it doesn't incite. I mean, you may have some people that are just going to be defensive regardless, but it definitely helps kind of quell the situation and soothes the person, and has the person be a little more, let me think about it. Let me entertain that for a minute. But if you have an individual, if you're that spouse, you have expressed your concerns, and that person just, regardless, uh, gets very defensive, and things of that nature, and just does not have any insight at all whatsoever to there being an issue, then it sounds like that's a space for either couples counseling, or for that one individual, that spouse who is seeing their spouse go through some things. They should probably go to counseling themselves. Because here's the thing, you can't make anybody change, period.
Right.
So, I would encourage, okay, well, I have a spouse who has, or I suspect has, a mental illness. How do I deal with that? So going to counseling to learn how to deal with a spouse who has a mental illness, um, and doesn't think they have one, and is not willing to seek treatment, get some guidance, go, in that direction.
Okay. When did you realize your passion for helping people as a therapist?
um, So yes, that's a good question, and I tell the story all the time. I actually, when I went to school, I wanted to be a pediatrician. So I started out as what did I start out as? Oh, biological science major in school. And of course, my plan was to go to med school and all that kind of stuff. And because I wanted to be a pediatrician, I decided that I was going to minor in child development. And as I, matriculated through college, I want to say around my junior year, I said, you know what? I don't want to do this. I just being going to med school and all of that, and I just didn't want to do that. But of course, I'm a junior now, so if I switch my major, it would almost be like me having to start all over again, because all of my classes and stuff like that were focused on med school. So I said to myself, well, I'll just switch. So I made my major child development, and my minor was biological science. And that kept me on the right path. I graduated where I was supposed to. And my first job was as a targeted case manager for an agency here that dealt with families and kids who were either in the foster care system, or out of home placement. Department of Children and Families involvement, things of that nature. And what I did was I basically helped with wraparound services. And one of the a part of the wraparound services was that each kid on my caseload had a therapist within our agency. And there was one day because I would transport kids sometimes back and forth to their therapy appointments. And there was one day I had some time on my hands. And at that time, it was like you had to bill each service that you did. It was a billable hour or something like that. Please forgive me. This was eons ago, so I'm trying to reach back way back in my memory. But we had to do certain services to bill, and so I had some time on my hands, and I was like, man, I need to do some billing. Let me do something. I said, well, let me sit in on this kid's therapy session. That way I can learn a little more about what it is that this kid is going through and yada, 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 help with wraparound services. And I'll never forget, it was a Black female therapist, actually. And she was sitting on the floor with the client, and they were, little kid had to been about 8 years old. And they were doing some drawings, and I'm just watching like, okay, all right. I hear them talking, and they talking about, just superficial things, but they're coloring. And when it was all said and done, I asked the therapist, I said, well, okay, what was all of that about? Like, oh yeah, talking about what is this drawing? What's going on? And she was able to explain to me how that child was expressing her worldview and her traumas through the picture. And everything that she described on that picture was everything that the child was going through. And I was extremely fascinated. And I said, well, I could do that. And right then and there, after that, I went online and I said, let me look up what I need to do to be able to do that. I want to do that. And so I went back to school for social work and got my degree in social work. And actually, when I graduated with my degree in social work, I started working with kids. It was just that, mind blowing to me. And I said, wow, yeah, I really want to be able to work with kids, work with families, work with people, and help them to be able to process that stuff. And I just found that particular avenue of processing, especially with a kid coloring, was just so fascinating to me. And I said, yeah, this is my niche. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Well, I'm glad you decided on that. One last question I have for you. When a therapist needs a therapist, mm-hmm. Do you self-evaluate, or do you actually seek help, or what's your angle? Have you ever been in that situation to know a colleague or friend who's in the same field that needed help, or
Well, here's the thing. The therapy and mental health treatment is no different than any other treatment. You can have a brain surgeon. He's not going to do brain surgery on himself. You can have, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like a gynecologist is not going to do a vaginal exam on herself. She's going to seek treatment from another gynecologist. So our profession is no different than any other profession in which, if we need a therapist, we should seek a therapist. And I mean, it's a good thing, because here's the thing. In our profession, we deal with, there's an onslaught of stuff that comes our way that can be mentally draining, physically draining. And so we need a space to be able to process that as well. Not only just our personal stuff, but our work stuff. So, hey, any therapist, I'm sure, will tell you that a therapist needs a therapist. A therapist is definitely going to advocate for themselves to seek therapy when and if they need it. And they're always going to be open to that and promoting that, therapists need a therapist, and yes, seek therapy.
All right. So you are taking new clients, correct? Every day?
Oh, well, yes, yes, I'm filling up. I'm filling up
So,
fast. Yes.
so to the world, how can they want to contact? They like Dr. Williams. How would
Okay.
they contact you? How would you handle it so you can have your, tell the people out there how to get in contact with you and
Okay. Well, they can always go to my website, masterpiececounselingservices.com, and it's spelled MasterPeace, Masterpiece Counselingservices.com. And my telephone number is on there and everything like that, but I can also give that area code 904-602-6714. Um, just to let everyone know, I am licensed in the state of Florida. So if you are outside of the state of Florida, unfortunately, I won't be able to provide services. But if you are in the state of Florida, I can provide services to you. If you're in Jacksonville, well, once this, coronavirus is over with, I can meet you at the office. But right now, I'm strictly 100% virtual. But anywhere in the state of Florida, I can meet with you. I'm also temporarily licensed in the state of New Jersey, Minnesota, and North Dakota. Because of the coronavirus, a lot of states have opened up um, uh, licensure to other clinicians in different states. So temporarily, I am accepting patients from New Jersey, also from Minnesota and North Dakota. But yes, they can visit my website. Again, www.tiffany, I'm sorry, that's my other website, www.masterpiececounselingservices.com. They can contact me via phone, 904-602-6714. They can also find me on Facebook, Masterpiece Counseling Services. And I also have an Instagram page, Masterpiece Counseling Services. If they also want to follow my personal page on Instagram, that is Tiffany underscore Epiphany 183. That's Tiffanie underscore Epiphany 183.
thank you so much. Any last words you want to say?
Yes, yes. I just want everyone to please, 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 don't wait until the house is on fire to call 911. I say that to say, if you notice that you are feeling a little different, if you're stressed out, if you just feel off, please pick up the phone, call somebody, get help, utilize the resources that your employer may have. Employee assistance program, a lot of people don't even know that they have that benefit. Most employers offer it. You could potentially get between 3 to 5 sessions for free, because that is a free benefit that your employer offers. Please tap into that, check into your insurance, see what type of benefits you have with regards to mental health. Get on Get online, do a Google search. You can also check out therapyforblackgirls.com. They have a directory for women and men to go to seek a therapist of color in their area. You can also go to therapyforblackmen.com. For men who want to go there and look for a black clinician, a black male clinician, you can go there as well. There are a lot of resources out there. We just don't know that they're there. And I am imploring you to tap into those resources, get the help you need, like now. Like, don't wait until you're at the brink of a mental breakdown before you seek services.
Wow. Well, doctor, I would like to thank you again for taking time out your busy schedule to come on Mississippi Vibes with Bert. It was a great experience. And, we'll be talking again. And I know some people in Florida, so I got your information and I'll
Okay.
be sending you some clients. Hopefully, I could be able to articulate the proper information so they would feel comfortable with seeking help.
Of course, of course. And they can always know too. The other thing is, you can ask a therapist if they offer consultations. So for me, I offer free 15-minute consultations just to kind of be, check it out. Hey, I'm not committing. I just want to know. I just want to know about you. So ask the therapist if they offer consultations.
Okay. Well, thank you once again, and I'll see you at another time. Take
All right.
care. Stay safe.
I surely will. Thank you.
Don't go to that beach.
I'm not.
Don't you go out. Don't let them folks trick you. Get out there on that beach now.
Normally I would now. Normally I
Right.
would, because I love the beach. Trust me, I love the beach, but nope.
Take care of yourself and your family.
I surely will. Thank you. You too.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye. So once again, hey, we had a great time with Dr. Williams. If you need any type of help, any type of a therapist, period, just, seek out help. If you have a family member, a friend, a spouse, whoever, the doctor said, understand that communication with them is the key to actually get them the help that they need. But once again, I would like to thank you for watching Mississippi Vibes with Bert. Until the next time, which will be Sunday at 6 p.m., I will be talking with Miss Cheryl. I said, she's a domestic violence advocate out of Memphis, Tennessee. So take care of yourself. Until next time, peace.